How are you, friends? I feel like that whole intro where I was just like up 3 octaves. Octaves. You guys missed that part, which is probably a good thing. I can shatter glass, I'm telling you. So how is everybody doing? Welcome in. It's Thursday, my friends. I'm trying to get this little message out of my screen. There we go. It just took a second. Hi, Jacqueline. Hi, Sharon. How are you? Welcome in. Hi, Suzanne. So good to see you. I hope everybody is having a good day. Hi, Kristen. Sylvia is in the house. Hello, hello. Hi, Anita. You guys, I just watched Joan. Joan's not going to be here today. She's out running the roads with Ginger, and I had left something for her on the porch. And so I literally just watched her on the security camera come and pick it up and look at it and then walk off. And my security camera has a, it's got a microphone on it. And I thought about saying something to her. Oh, there's Ginger. Ginger says, Joan and I are in your driveway. I thought about saying something to her over the little speaker, but I didn't. So I don't know if she knows there's a speaker there or not. That's funny. I'm such a creeper. Creeping on my friends. Oh, that's hysterical. I bet I can see them in the driveway. Let's see. I bet I can. I bet I can. And I'll show all of you guys. Let's see. Oh, she's honking her horn. They're definitely in the driveway. Hold on. Let's see. I'll hold up the... Oh my gosh. They're going to the front door. Well, hold on. I'm going to pull up the front door cam so you guys can see them. Can you see them? There they are. Don't you do it. Oh my gosh. I can never take them anywhere. I'm telling you. Keep your clothes on. People are watching. Oh my gosh. Okay. Okay. Yeah, they are a mess. They are a mess for sure. So I have interesting friends. Oh my gosh. She's mooning my camera right now. I'm so glad I'm not showing that to you guys. Okay. Sorry. They're crazy. Okay. Turning them off. Turning them off. They're making the dogs bark. Okay. So anyway, I have now seen more of Ginger than anybody needs to see. They are not to be trusted, Kathy. You are so right. Oh my goodness. I'm glad I wasn't holding that up right at that moment. I'm sure it's probably something, I don't know. I'm not even going to go there. Okay, so let's chat, so, shall we? I'm just going to remove that from my brain. Oh gosh. Let's chat. Kathy says, did I get the wrong channel? I know, right? So today is Throwback Thursday. And that means that we are going to breathe new life into an old project. And, sorry, something in my mouth. Might have been a gnat. We're going to do a necklace project that you guys have actually seen before. And I think I've actually done this twice. I think that I have done this here on this channel and then over when I used to work in that other place. I think that I did it there as well. So I don't think that this is going to be a new project for some of you, but some of you, this will be your very first time ever seeing this. And it's easy to do. If you saw the Michael's class, not the one that I had yesterday, but the one that was on Saturday, I did a pair of Zoom earrings where we did some really cool wire wrapped earrings. We're going to take that, one of those wire wrapped techniques, and we're going to turn that into a necklace, and then we're going to double it up so that this is actually going to be a great statement piece that you can add extra things to and then take to a whole nother level if you want to, or you can, bye Ginger, you can bring it down because it is a really kind of bold and in your face kind of piece. They are so crazy. Oh my goodness. Yeah. so that's what we're going to be doing today. You're going to need your regular tools, but we're also going to be focusing on the large bell making pliers. So if you don't have those, I want you to consider other things that you've got around. Maybe markers. I have Sharpie markers are like the perfect size. This is very, very close to the large mandrel of the large bell making pliers. So just look for things that you've got around. Don't feel like just because you don't have a tool that you can't do something. You can always improvise. And if you ask me, that's what makes jewelry making fun, right? Coming up with creative things to use, because that always kind of sparks things, you know, and might take you down a whole rabbit hole of creativity that you never expected, which is awesome. So yeah, somebody mentioned that they liked my earrings. I'm going to show you my earrings. Right before we get to the project, I just wanted to chat about this because this is something that comes up so often. Okay, so you see my earrings and you see how the bees and the flowers are both the same on both earrings, right? They're both going the same direction. I like that. The reason I'm telling you this, because you're also jewelry makers, is because every time I make a pair of earrings where they match like this, right? They're exactly the same on both ears, so it doesn't matter which one goes in which ear. People always say, why didn't you just make them, why didn't you make them opposite? Like, why isn't one going one way and one going the other way? Am I the only person in the whole world who likes them that they're both going in the same direction? Like this instead of like this or like this? Is that just me? Because I make a lot of designs that way where they're both the same, like this. And people always are like, can you fix that? Can you make it the... I don't like it that way. I like them both going the same direction. I just wanted to know, for you creatives out there, how do you feel about it? Like, somebody gave me a grumpy face. They must be like so over this and just want to get to the project. But I really wanted to know because I feel like I might be the only person in the entire world who likes my earrings going the same direction. I don't know. Don't know. Sorry about that, grumpy person out there with the grumpy face. Didn't mean to ruin your day. Let's get down to, let's see. See, some people like them the same way and some people like them opposite. Well, that's good. Like, there isn't a right or wrong. I was just curious. You know, everybody's different. Everybody's different. So, okay. Oh, Ginger says I'm weird. Yep, I know. So are you, Ginger. Birds of a feather, my friend. Let's turn around and do this thing. Birds of a feather. All right, so getting down to business. Let's see. You know what cracks me up about the grumpy faces that I get? Oh, when you give grumpy faces, it actually boosts our viewership in the algorithms of Facebook because they think we're doing something scandalous, right? That other people want to see. So I'm not telling you to give me grumpy faces. I'm just saying that the people who think that they're like, you know, proving a point are actually doing me a favor. So just so you know, grumpy face people out there, I still love you. I still love you even when you're grumpy. All right, so Colleen says it depends on the earrings. I think so too. I think that might be part of it. But you know, everybody likes things the way they like things. All right. Catherine says she's late. That's all right. You're not missing anything. Colleen and Ginger are giving me grumpy faces. Okay, now too many grumpy faces will get me removed, so please don't do that. Oh my gosh. Okay, so as far as our wire is concerned, you guys are cracking me up. Excuse me. As far as our wire is concerned, I am using 18 gauge wire for this. And excuse me. We're using this in 2 different lengths, okay? We're going to use a 6-inch piece and a 7-inch piece. Okay? And you want to be sure that you've got 2 different lengths here. Now, however, you can change this up. Mine's going to be a large pendant in the middle. If you want your necklace to be a little bit smaller, then you're obviously going to want to cut down your wire. However, you want to be sure that they are still 2 different lengths and they are off by about 1 inch, okay? So that you've got a good 1/2 inch on either end. That's really going to make them tiered. Okay, so we are going to start with the shortest piece. And we're going to do both of these pieces the exact same way, okay? So you're going to see this twice. That's not super hard anyway. The grumpy faces were because I said if you give me a grumpy face, it brings me up in the algorithm. They were not really being mean. They were trying to be funny. At least I hope so. Okay, so we've got the large bell making pliers, and we're going to make 2 movements with the large bell making pliers. Okay, so the very first movement that we're going to make is going to be on one end. We're going to grab the wire and we are going to use the smaller mandrel, okay? And we're grabbing it so that the wire is right in the middle. And we are just going to turn a loop. You guys are at a really strange angle. Hold on, let me lift you up just a little bit for this. All right, so we're going to turn a loop on one end, okay? Making our little P shape. Now, our loop is off center. Don't break the neck on this. Leave it just like it is. We've got to keep it just like it is set. Okay, and we're going to do the exact same thing on the other side as well. So we're going to come down here to the other end. We're using the small mandrel and we're going to roll back and make another loop. Now, you'll notice my loops are going in opposite directions. I don't want that. So, and it doesn't make any difference at this point. You can just grab and twist and put them both going in the same direction, okay? You want to straighten out your mid section here as much as you can. If you need to bring in your nylon jaw pliers, you can do that as well. That always helps to kind of help to straighten out your wire, okay? So straighten out the middle. Now, leave these like they are. Don't line them up, so don't break the neck on them. Leave them just like that. Now, on both ends, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to grab the wire. I mean, we're doing this motion on both ends is what I mean. Not we're doing the same thing. This time I'm holding it so that the loop that we just made is right up against the side of the tool. Okay, there's no wiggle room in there. That loop needs to be touching the side of the tool. We're going to use the large mandrel of the tool this time, and we're going to roll back, slide it off, and this is what you're going to have. Does this look familiar to some of you? It probably does. Okay. It looks like a little shepherd's hook. That's what we're doing. And we're going to do the same thing over here on the other end. So we're grabbing with our loop right up against the mandrel of the tools. Yeah, I'm using 18 gauge wire. I'm sorry. I missed that question. 18 gauge wire for this. And we're going to roll back. And this is what we've got. Cute, right? Super cute. And it actually goes this direction. I kept holding it upside down, but it goes this direction. Okay, now we're going to take our second piece of wire and we're going to repeat exactly this. And then we're going to put these both on the block and we're going to work harden these a little bit before we move on to the next step. So there's one. Okay, we're going to do the same thing with our 7-inch piece. So on both ends of the 7-inch piece, grab, we're going to use the small mandrel. And we're just going to create a loop. Okay. We're going to go to the other end. We're going to do the same thing. Creating a little loop. Okay. Make sure your loops are coming towards each other. Okay. So they're on the same side of the wire. If they're not, give them a little twist. And then you can come in with your nylon jaw pliers, straighten out that wire if it gets kinked on you. Okay, try to keep it as straight as you can. All right, now back to the large bell making pliers. We're grabbing the wire so that the loop is right up against the tool. And then we're going to turn. Sorry, that was an awkward movement that I made. I'm kind of in a strange position here with the tool. Okay, we're still just doing the same thing. We're just repeating just on this piece. So we're going to have 2 of these. Okay, so we're just kind of making this sort of like a figure 8, but not quite. Okay. Now, coming down here to the other end, and we're going to repeat. So we've got the loop we made right up against the tool, and then we're just going to, I'm actually turning the wire instead of the tool today. Okay, and then take that off. And we've got a larger one. So now when we lay these out, one is just a little bit longer than the other one. That's exactly what we are going for. Okay, we need these in two different sizes. So you definitely want a full inch difference in your two pieces, whether you start with a 6-inch and a 7-inch, or a 4-inch and a 5-inch, or whatever your measurement adjustments are going to be. Just make sure that there is a full inch difference, okay? So the first piece that the shorter piece started out as a 6-inch piece. And of course, we didn't cut anything off, but you know, when we turned our ends to make our little decorative ends, our working area is very small. That's this area here between these two loops. That's actually where we're going to put some beads. And then this one was 7 inches. So that's what I started out with. Just keep in mind that the smaller measurements are going to have less work area between these two loops. Okay, so I'm going to grab my block. I'll show you. So I've got my steel block here, and I'm going to use a nylon hammer, and I'm going to work harden these because I want them to retain their shape. I use German style wire for this because it is a medium temper wire and it does hold its shape quite a bit better than the dead soft wires, but I still feel like I need to work harden it just a little bit. If you don't want to work harden this at all, I would recommend going up to a 16 gauge wire instead. Okay, so I'm going to work harden with my nylon hammer. If you've got a rawhide mallet, that will work. I'm just using the nylon because I don't want to change the surface of the wire. If you use a metal hammer, you're obviously going to flatten your wire, and I don't want to do that. Okay, I'm going to do both ends and both sides. Okay, and then just check it by giving it a little wiggle. If it's still a little malleable and soft, whack on it a little bit more with your hammer. Okay, now we're going to do the other piece. Hi, Roberta. Okay. Susan says, there's the wiggle. Exactly. We've been suppressing our wiggles for a while. No wiggling over on the Michaels classes, so we've been holding in our wiggles way too long, I think. All right. So now that I've work hardened these and I feel good about, you know, them keeping their shape, we are going to adjust them just a little bit, but for the most part, they're going to stay just like they are. Now I'm going to lower you guys down just a little bit, brighten things back up again. It's weird. If I pull you guys away, it gets really dark. So, okay, now we're going to talk about beads. So the beads that I'm using some of these little rondelles. Actually got these at Michael's, used them in a project, the Zoom earrings project. Actually, I use these. This color, you can use whatever you want to. I'm using rondelles though in some various shape or various sizes. And I want to pre-measure before I start wire wrapping anything in here, because I want to be sure that I've got room for all of the beads that I want to use. And so I'm starting in the center. Remember, we're working between these two loops here. Okay, so let's see. It looks like I'm going to have room. I should have room for that. It's going to be a tight squeeze for these, I feel like, but I believe I can make that work. Okay, so you can see I've got a large one in the center, two a little bit smaller, and then some smaller ones. I don't have the exact size on these. Susie says, will this work with artistic wire? It will, but you're going to need to work harden it a lot more. Okay, but yeah, it will work. So don't think you can't do this if that's all you got. Do it, just need to work harden it. So I'm going to wire wrap these beads in this space between these two loops. And then I'm going to do the same thing up here with some more beads. But let's start with this guy. So I am going to, let's see, where's my 24 gauge wire today? Hold on. Okay. I'm going to use some 24 gauge wire for this. You can use 26 if you want to. It's going to be up to you. Okay. So I'm going to start with just a short piece because I don't have a lot of wire wrapping to do here. I'm going to give myself about 6 inches of wire. Okay. And I'm going to leave my beads down here. And let me show you a trick to make this just a little bit easier on you. Okay. Because we want to wire wrap to this loop. It might be a little bit easier for you to come in with your pliers and treat this little loop like a jump ring and open it up just a little bit. That might help you instead of having to go through the loop to be able to go like that around the loop. Does that make sense? I hope it does. So I'm going to take the tail of my wire and I'm going to anchor it to this loop here by wire wrapping a couple of times. And you can see how passing through that opening is a little bit easier than trying to navigate through a loop. And I just want to wire wrap, you know, 3 good wraps, and mine are not lined up nice and neat. So I'm going to come in with my pliers and squeeze them together, tidy them up. Okay. I'm going to come to the back and I'm going to trim off the tail and leave myself this nice long piece here. Okay. And this still wiggles. It's okay. Now, I'm going to go ahead, since I'm done with that, I'm going to take my pliers and close that back. I don't need that open anymore. Okay. I'm going to thread my beads on. Okay. And then bring them over here to this loop here. But I'm going to go ahead and open just like a jump ring, like I showed you. Uh-oh, I'm losing my beads. Okay. Just open that just slightly. Okay. Now I'm going to wire wrap to this loop. So just kind of navigate between the beads and the wire around that little opening that we created. Okay, and again, now I'm going slow because even for me, this is it's a little tricky just because we're working in kind of a closed space here. Okay, now I'm going to come in with my pliers, close that loop back. I'm going to come to the back. Still thinking about Jonah and Ginger and it's just too funny. Oh my gosh. And trim that off. What's really funny is that everybody in my family has access to the security camera and it all gets recorded under events. So when the other adult that lives here, I say that, I use that term loosely. Anyway, when the other adult person that lives here checks the camera events, they're in for a surprise, which is hysterical. All right, so we have attached our beads. Now, if you want to stop here, you can. You can totally stop here because this is beautiful, right? This is pretty just like it is. Throw some chain on this and call it a day. But we're not going to stop here. We're actually going to do some decorative wire wrapping here. But you know what? Before we do that, let's go ahead and add our beads to this piece too while we're at it. Okay, so we'll just kind of work on both of them at the same time. So with this one, I need more beads. So I'm going to have room for a few more. Okay, I'm going to take another piece of my 24 gauge wire. This time I'm going to need about 8 inches. Emily says, what did I miss with Joan and Ginger? They were out there. They were outside my house and showing me their butt. They mooned me and flashed me on the security camera. It was hysterical. And I almost showed it to you guys. I'm glad that I pulled them away. I pulled it away from the iPad in time. Okay, now I'm going to open. Okay. I'm going to take my other piece of wire and I'm going to anchor this with a couple of wire wraps. Okay. Oh, goodness. Okay, I want to close those spaces up. It drives me crazy when my wire wraps have spaces in between them. You can see those. So I'm such a perfectionist. I have to come in with my pliers and close that up. But the truth is that nobody's going to see that. So I don't know why I am going out of my way to fix it. But I'm going to close that back. Okay. I'm going to come to the back and trim. Okay. Straighten out my little piece of wire, and then I'm going to thread on my beads. I had to turn the heat on this morning because it's so cold here, and now I'm starting to sweat. And I don't know if it's just because Joan and Ginger rattled me a little bit. Or I don't know. Uh-oh. I don't have quite enough beads. I'm going to have to add. So pull those off of there. I'm going to add, hopefully, an extra set of small beads. So the wire for the component was 18 gauge, and the wire that I'm using here for adding our beads is 24 gauge. However, if you wanted to, you could use 26 if you wanted to. Just a small gauge wire will do. I feel like anything larger than 24 is a little bit bulky, and it's harder to use when doing the little wire wraps in here. You can still do it. It just becomes a little bit more challenging. So just keep that in mind. All right, let's see if that's enough. Yep, that'll do it. There's still a little bit of wiggle room in there, but I'm not mad at it. I'm going to leave it because when we add our wire to this, it will all come out in the wash. It'll take up all that space. So again, I'm going to open just to make it a little bit easier to get my wire through there. Okay. And I'm going to wire wrap to this side. Oh, Sharon says, what's your tattoo on your finger? It's a bat for Halloween, but he's seen better days. I usually keep him covered up with a ring. I didn't grab my rings today because I was in a hurry coming in here. And I don't know if you can tell or not, since we're looking at my hands up close and personally, I'm having an allergic reaction to some soap. And I didn't put my rings on because my hands are hurting. And I honestly just didn't really think about it because my hands are hurting. So, but yeah, it's a bat. He's been done twice, but he's seen better days. Not for Batman, for Halloween. In my mind, it's always Halloween. All right, so wire wrapping this guy around here. And now I'm going to come in with my cutter tool and trim off. I keep thinking I should have him covered up with something, but I don't know what it would be. Fingers are hard because you don't have a whole lot of room to work with. All right, closing that back. Now we have beads on both of our little our little connector component things. Okay, now we're going to do some extra to this. It looks beautiful just like it is, and if you wanted to, like I said, you can actually do a full length of this and turn it into a bangle bracelet. Also, you can, instead of using wire, you can use bead stringing wire and make your bead stringing wire and crimp, bead stringing wire and crimp between here. If you do that, you can actually do a nice drape if you want to. So a lot of different things that you can do with just this really easy to create component. Okay, so keep that in mind. Everything I show you, I try very hard to show you alternatives and different things that you can do with them. This is one of those things. You can do so many different things with just this component, and it makes a really cool bangle bracelet, might I add. Okay. All right, so we're going to turn ours into a beautiful necklace. So let's move on. I'm going to show you what we're going to do. So now we're going to take some more 24 gauge wire for this, and you're going to need probably, I don't know, 24 inches of your 24 gauge wire. You want to give yourself plenty to work with, okay? And let's start with the smaller one here. And I'm actually not going to anchor this wire just yet, but I do want to lay it at an angle between two beads. Now, whether you want to do it down here on this side or on this side, it makes no difference, whichever one is comfortable for you. Okay, I'm going to lay that wire between these two beads and give myself, let's see here, about 2 inches of a tail. Okay, and I'm just going to hold that in place. I'm not doing anything else, just holding that in place. Now, I'm going to take this wire. It's going to be kind of hard to see because I am holding it in place. I'm going to take the wire to the back at an angle, and then I'm wrapping around the component and between the next two beads. Okay, coming to the back, around the component, and between the next two beads. I'm going to just keep doing that all the way down the component. Okay. Now I can come over here. I'm going to go around the component and back up. And I am going to use my pliers to very carefully wire wrap this to the top here. You can start out by doing that. I just find that it's easier just to hold it in place and wire wrap it later. You know, wire wrap your tail later and just use your pliers to do it than it is to do it at first, because it wants to slide up and down the component on you, and it drove me crazy. So my alternative to that was to wait to wire wrap the tail until I had made it to the other side. Okay. Now, I'm going to wire wrap. Now this time I'm going to go the other direction, because remember, I've still got a bunch of wire in my hand. So I'm going to come back. This time I'm going back the other way between those beads. Okay, so we've put wire in between. Now, if you want to stop there, you can. And mine are not perfect, and I'm okay with that. Like, give yourself a break with this. This wire, you want it to be fun, okay? You want it to be fun, and it doesn't have to be perfect. You can go back and forth as many times as you want to. So if you want to use a really long piece of wire, you can. Or you can use a short piece of wire and only go through there maybe twice. I like the bundly kind of crazy wire look, so I'm just going back and forth with mine. Okay, now I'm back here. I've got a very small tail. And I'm just going to wire wrap over the top of the wire wrap where I wrapped my tail originally. And I'm just using my pliers to do that. Now, if you end on the other side, you don't have to do this. You'll just wire wrap just onto the component itself, okay? Yeah, somebody mentioned this looks very much like the earrings from the Michaels class on Saturday, and it is almost exactly, almost exactly. All right, so there's one, and we're still not done with this one, but we're going to move on to the next one. Okay, so I'm just going to sit this one down for a second. We're going to do the exact same thing to this guy. This guy, we're going to need a little bit more wire though, so you want to grab maybe 30 to 35 inches of wire for the top one, because it's a little bit longer. I am almost completely out of 24 gauge wire. I don't even think I've got enough here. Let me look. Hold on, everybody. Let's see. Oh, gosh. Okay, fortunately, I had another pack. I need to reorder wire in, like, the worst way. So, let's see. All right, so make sure you give yourself plenty of wire. Okay. Roberta, we're making a necklace, and you'll see at the end, it's going to be a big statement piece, but you can change it up and make it much smaller. Although you could turn this into a lot of other things. Okay, so same thing. Okay, I've got my wire. I'm going to go between these two little beads over here on the end and just kind of hold that in place. Taking my wire to the back, around the component, and in between the next two beads, around the component, next two beads, all the way down. Okay. Make sure you don't skip a bead. I almost skipped one. It would look really beautiful on a barrette for sure, or any kind of hair piece. It would look really beautiful on a hair comb. You could just wire wrap it to the hair comb, right? With the comb part coming down this way. That would be gorgeous. So, so pretty. I'm telling you, versatility, that's where I'm going with all of this. I love the ideas. Keep them coming. All right, now I'm going to secure this end. So around the component next to that bead, and then I'm going to wire wrap to the top of our component. And if you need to use your pliers to do this, makes it a lot easier on your fingers. Okay. I'm going to come back here, trim. All right, now back down here to the other end where we aren't secure, around that last bead, and now I'm going to go back the opposite direction. Okay, around the component, between the beads, all the way down. You could do them with twisted wire, Kathy. Kathy said she was thinking about doing the wraps with twisted wire. You absolutely could. You definitely do want to stick with a really thin gauge of the twisted wire though. Debbie says, what are the beads you were using? So these were beads on one of those hanging cards from Michaels where you get more than one size. They're just glass rondelles in this really pretty kind of spring green. It's almost a minty green color. But I love the that AB metallic flash that they've got to them. So I'm just going back the other way. I even turned it over in my hands. That makes it a little easier. Okay. And now I'm going to go back the other way and secure. Whoops, sorry. Oh, just barely had enough wire. Look at that, just barely. So now I'm going to take this tiny little tail, do the best that I can to wire wrap it. Probably should have stopped on the other side, but that's all right. We'll make it work. Just going to wire wrap over those wraps that are already there as best as I can to make sure that it's secure. I'm only going to be able to go around twice, it looks like, but that'll do. Just make sure to tuck your end nice and tight in there. All right, so we've wire wrapped our beads to the second one. Now, if that's too full, if that's too much wire for you, like I said, you don't have to go as many times around as I did, okay? So you make it look how you want it to look. Now, one thing that has happened, I don't know if you've noticed it or not, but this one has started to curve. Can you see how it started to create kind of a U shape? That's actually a good thing because that's what we want. I'm not going to leave mine straight. I want to push. I'm holding on with my fingers on the edges, and then I'm just going to kind of push in the middle to create a dip in this. And you can make it as deep of a dip as you want, or you can make it really subtle, okay? But I want to curve mine just like that. Now it's starting to remind me of a dragonfly. I don't know why, but when I see this, that's what it makes me think of, is a dragonfly. So I've made my little dragonfly out of this one. I'm going to do the same thing with the smaller one. I'm just going to push down in the center. To kind of flare out the sides. And then I want to take a look and see that they are similar. I want them to be as similar as possible. I don't want one to have more of a dip than the other, okay? I do want to spin that one around though, so they both have that beautiful dark green on the bottom. Okay, now we're going to attach them together. And we're going to use a couple of 6mm jump rings. I'm going to use 2 on this side, and I'm going to use 2 on this side. Then we're going to do a little wire wrap connector and put this on some chain. And I can't wait for you to see this on the bust because it looks so much better hanging than it does sitting here. So I've got a 6mm jump ring between 2 pairs of chain nose pliers. Okay, I'm holding one of them still, and the other one I'm just twisting to open my jump ring. Okay, I'm going to thread that on to this larger section of the bottom, smaller component, and then onto the loop of the longer component. And then close that back. I'm going to add a second jump ring right next to that one, just for no other reason than I like it. It doesn't give extra security. I just like it. So I'm going to put a second jump ring there right next to it. That was just a design choice. You don't have to do 2 jump rings if you don't want to. Okay. Now I'm going to come over here to the other side, and I'm going to do the same thing. Uh-oh. This one's not wanting to go together the same way the other one did. These are going to sit really, really close together. I'll have to show you the other one that I made ahead of time. I'm not sure if there's a little bit of a size difference. We'll have to look. So same thing. Close my jump ring. Oh, I like them sitting close together like that. I'll show you the other piece. Hold on. Let me go ahead and attach this jump ring. Okay. So now this is our pendant. And the one that I made yesterday, it may be that the V on this one is a little bit deeper, but you can see there's a little more extra wiggle room with one than this one. This one is sitting very, very close together. This one, there's a little bit more play here. Not entirely sure why, because they're both made exactly the same way. Looks like this one might be a hair shorter than this one, but that's okay. All right, so now let's see. We're going to just use some really pretty chain to attach on either side, but I have to bring some color up into this. So I'm just going to make 2 of these little guys. Well, I'm going to make 1 because I've already made this one, and we're going to attach it here, and then I'm going to do another one right here, and then we'll attach those with jump rings, and we are going to call it a day. So this is a very, what's the word I'm thinking of? This is a very bold statement piece, if you will. And originally I had thought, by the way, I'm going to cut a piece of 22 gauge wire about 3.5, 4 inches to do my little wrapped loops. What was I even saying? Oh, when I had originally done this, I was going to do 3. I was going to do 3 rows of the beads. You could do a ton of these if you wanted to and make a really huge, you know, centerpiece. All right, coming down on my 22 gauge wire, about 1.5 inches, 2 inches. Give that wire a bend. Okay, so we've got our little 7 here. Where's my round nose pliers? I'm going to come in with the round nose pliers. I'm going to take that wire up and over the top barrel of the pliers. Okay, in order to get that wire over here to the other side, though, I've got to move that bottom barrel. So I'm just going to rotate, take the wire over to the other side. And now I'm going to wrap about 3 times. And I'm going to come in with my cutter tool and trim off. And if you need to tuck that wire in, definitely give it a little squeeze. You don't want that sticking out. Okay, now I'm going to take 2 of the rondelles that we used in our necklace and put those on. And then I'm going to do another, that's the right size, isn't it? Yeah. I'm going to do another wrapped loop on the other end, and we will connect all of this together. So again, holding the wire, chain nose pliers, giving it a bend, coming in with the round nose pliers, up and over, rotate the pliers to take the wire over to the other side, and whoops, we're going to wire wrap in between. Okay, and we are going to trim off our tail. And you want to make sure that you tuck that in. Okay. Now I'm just going to use some 4mm jump rings as my connections here. Okay, you can use 6mm if you want to. Totally up to you. I'm going to use, whoops, where did that go? And for whatever reason, I only have 2. I'm going to need 2 more. Hold on. What a day. I wish that I had all of the things that I needed right in front of me, and today is just not one of those days. Grab 2 more little jump rings. Whoops. There we go. Okay. So, same thing. Gonna hold my jump rings. I'm gonna lift you up just a little bit because I'm falling down on top of my hands here. Open 4mm jump ring. I'm going to thread that on to the long part of the component here. Thread on one of my wrapped loops. Close that back. Oh, I remember why I only had 2 jump rings. There's already a jump ring on the end of my chain. So I'm going to reopen this little jump ring here. Thread on my little beaded section, and I'm going to do the same thing over here on the other side. And then I'm going to put this on the bust so that you can see how it hangs. Okay, so onto my component, on here, closing that back, and opening the jump ring on the chain, and attaching, and there. All right, now I know you just cannot even begin to, I mean, it looks okay laying down. It looks okay laying down, but I think it looks really pretty on the bust and you get kind of a better view of it. So I'm going to turn you guys around and I'm going to put it on the bust so that you can see how pretty it looks hanging. And we'll talk about all of the different things that we can do with this. Okay, so let me turn you around. And this is what I call princess jewelry. I don't know if you guys know the story of when I got started. Like my original Etsy shop was like a little rockabilly Etsy shop, and I was making sweater clips and hair fascinators and all kinds of stuff like that. But I was like really drawn to making beautiful jewelry, and princess jewelry is like, that's my thing. Like I love the old movies, the 30s and the 40s, particularly the 40s where in the 50s where the statement pieces were just huge and outstanding. That's where I draw so much of my inspiration. So I love to make princess jewelry, and this qualifies as far as I'm concerned. This is princess jewelry. This is going to look amazing in any color. Any color. It doesn't matter what color. Pick a color, any color, it's going to look awesome. And like I had said, I was going to originally do this with like, you know, I was going to just keep going and do maybe 3 or 4 layers of this, which you can't really tell with this guy because it's not really the right size, but I was going to continue to tier them down. So you could make a huge, amazing statement piece out of this. Not that this isn't already a great statement piece, because it is. It really, you know, this speaks big time. People are going to look at it and be like, oh, I like that. And the truth behind it is that it's not super, super hard. You can give yourself a break with this because the wire wrapping can be messy, which is a bonus big time. You don't have to have perfect wire wraps to accomplish something that looks really fun. And the component itself is super easy to do. So remember, just a quick refresher where we had talked as we were going that you can use this exact same connector, this little thing that we made here, to do a bangle bracelet, right? You can use it for earrings. You can make little earring drops out of it. So just that one component with the shepherd's hooks on either side can be turned into so many different things. You can, instead of wire wrapping in between here, you can do your bead stringing wire and make beautiful drapes on either side of the component as well. So it's one of those things that you can take and use in a ton of different ways. And even though it's the same component, you're going to get completely different looks. So, yeah, I hope I've inspired you. I love it. I love it. And I really hope that you guys like it as well. I've got 2 of them. So one of them is going to go in the shop. It'll probably be listed tomorrow. Somebody asked what type of chain. I'm not entirely sure what this, I think it's just large Figaro, but it's definitely a Beadalon chain where it's just the larger and the smaller length, and they have just a tiny twist to them like Figaro chain, but it's just a chunkier link. So there you go. I hope you guys enjoy this one. I really, really like it. I really, really like it. So, all right. Whew, we started out, could have gone really bad. I could have just gotten myself kicked right on off of Facebook if I had accidentally shown you guys Ginger and Joan being crazy out there in the yard. I'm glad that I was monitoring that. Oh my gosh. So, let's see. Jessica says using matte beads would change the look too. Yes, changing up the beads and changing the color of the wire. So like maybe instead of doing silver, doing like an antique brass or a hematite color. Oh, you could get some really beautiful results. So take it to the next level. I want to see what you guys do with it. Definitely, if you recreate something using this technique, post it on the Sara Ellis Designs community because we want to see it. We want to be inspired by all of the amazing creativity that you guys have. Yeah. And that's it. Tomorrow is Feel Good Friday. I love Feel Good Fridays. I hope that you guys are looking forward to Feel Good Friday as well. I've got 5 kits going in the shop, 3 designs to show you tomorrow. Feel Good Friday is easy, fun, easy to replicate jewelry, but the kits also go into my Etsy shop so you can purchase them and recreate them with the exact materials that you need. Can't wait to show them to you. If you like princess jewelry and you like sparkle, I've got some sparkle for you tomorrow. I also do have some leather that is like, it's just yummy. So I got a lot of great things to show you guys tomorrow. So be sure to set your reminders for 1 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow to come and hang out with for our Feel Good Friday show. In the meantime, you guys have a wonderful afternoon and I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye guys.